How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Fam, and we are back with another FPL live stream. And if you are watching this over on YouTube, that means you're watching the VOD. So make sure to come check us out on Twitch to see when we go live for our live streams. So yeah, it's always a fun time, and good game week one, I think, for a lot of players. The title of the stream is Bru-Mo. So Bru and Mo Salah. So Bruno Fernandes and Mo Salah. If you had both of those and everyone showed up in your team, I think I worked it out, you would get 74 points. So if you got 2 points from every other position on the pitch, and you had Bruno Fernandes, and then you had Mo Salah captained, you would get 74 points. So basically, if you didn't have either of those two guys, or you only had one, you had to hope to get some points elsewhere. But we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at how we did in our predictions. We're going to do our predictions for Game Week 2 as well. And we're going to see how my lineup's looking for Game Week 2, as well as go through your comments in the chat as per normal. And look at if any transfers need to be made going into Game Week 2. So without further ado, let's talk about our sponsors. And they actually have a good deal for us. So, Fantasy Football Scout, it's still 20% off. If you use the link in the About section here on Twitch, or if you're watching this over on YouTube, in the description down below, it is bit.ly/FFScoutPilotFlame, or FFS Pilot Flame, something like that. But yeah, use the link in the About section or in the description down below if you're watching this over on YouTube, and you get 20% off your membership. I mean, just look at all that. All of that great stuff. Various different tools, various different, rate my team things, various different comparison things, all the data you could want from Opta stats. It's fantastic, so make sure to go check that out. Like I said, it's still until Sunday that the offer is going on, so make sure to do that. Now, enough talking about that. Let's get into the fantasy football stuff. So, I'm just going to move the... where did I put it? The notepad. We're going to hide the notepad real quick. And we're going to say thank you for following B_Raider. And also Hazard, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as Unai Emery would say, but good evening for those joining us today. And yeah, we had a good week. We had a good week, I would say. 110 points. 110 points. Good morning all the way from Malaysia. Fantastic stuff. We're global. We global. But yeah, 110 points from the team. Not too shabby, I don't think. We put a green arrow, but technically everyone got a red arrow this week, no matter which rank you started off with, unless you're literally rank 1, in which case you got a gray arrow, because everyone started at rank 1 and everyone goes down. But I put the green arrow because it looks better. So yeah, we're currently 55k, or thereabouts, which is higher than I ever was last season, and is close to my best ever finish, which was around 33k, which is insane. We made no transfers, obviously, last week, and we have one free transfer going into this week if we so choose to use it. Remember, you can bank up to 2 before losing out. So what most players are going to do is bank this week's one if they can, and go into next week with 2, which would be nice. Not bad with the double West Ham pick, swap Benrahma to Rafinha. I mean, Rafinha could do well this week coming. I think he could do well this week coming. I think West Ham are going to have a little bit tougher of a time this week because they play Leicester, but we'll talk about that when we get to the fixtures. But while we're offline, B_Raider, thank you for the follow. So yeah, let's just run through the team real quick here. So we got Sanchez in goal. I mean, they conceded a goal, which I still don't understand how with VAR you just don't give that, personally. Tarkowski literally takes both of his arms, extends them, shoves Malpai to the ground, and then heads the ball in the net. Now, what Sanchez was doing on that set piece, as well as the one that Ben Mee struck the crossbar as well, I don't know what's going on there. It was a bit rough. So hopefully Sanchez can get himself together for their home fixture this week coming. Moving on to we'll go to Veltman because he plays on the same team. So Veltman, the reason he did not show up and wasn't in the squad is because someone that was close to him had tested positive, so he had to self-isolate to make sure. But I would assume if everything goes okay, and he does like a couple of tests over, I think it's like 5 days or whatever it is, he should be fine. Or it's like he just needed to stay away from the team because he got pinged, and then if he tests negative a few days later or whatever it is, I think he should be back for this week. I think that's how it works. He did not test positive himself. It was somebody that he had been potentially in contact with from the reports that I'm gathering. Luke Shaw, he got booked as per normal, conceded the 1 goal to Ayling, my other defender on the bench, who got 6 points from his goal, but he obviously conceded 5, so would have liked to obviously have Ayling 6 points in the team. And if you got him off your bench because Veltman didn't play, more power to you. But you're definitely not going to complain there. Obviously, Man United, if that's going to be their clean sheets kind of threshold, where if they need to concede, basically a belter from a mile away, then I'm perfectly okay with that. Shaw will pick up some attacking returns at some point as well as get some clean sheets. But Leeds were always, I was pretty sure, was more confident to score. For the future fixtures, I think Newcastle at home, Southampton away, and Wolves. I think these 3 are probably more likely to keep a clean sheet than any other fixture. So hopefully that's the case. Tsimikas and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So we'll pair them up. I mean, clean sheet. Liverpool, they were pretty much in control most of the game. Could they have potentially conceded one? I think Alisson did well to keep the clean sheet there. Yeah, I think the double clean sheet for the double defense for Liverpool has worked out quite nicely. And if Tsimikas can go up in price, and we'll talk about that later on in the stream, he looks to be potentially going up in price tonight. And if he goes up in price twice, remember, if you're new to FPL or you don't know how the price change system works, basically players, the way if there's a secret algorithm that FPL has that if so many players get the player, they go up by 0.1 in price. Now, if you buy a player, let's say Tsimikas is 4 million, and he goes up in price twice to 4.2 million, I can then sell him for 4.1. So for every 0.2 they go up, I can sell them for an additional 0.1, which is how you gain team value, which is very, very important at the beginning of the season. So as an example, Bruno Fernandes is currently 12.1 million, so I've gained 0.1 on him thus far, but I can't sell him for 12.1 million until he goes up by 0.1 more to 12.2. So we'll hang on to him because I think he did okay getting us 20 points. Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't really have too much chances in terms of he had that one direct free kick, which he put wide. I think if he'd put on target, it probably been saved anyway. But for the most part, Trent was a bit on the quiet side, but again, got himself a clean sheet, and I'll be perfectly happy with that. And then we already mentioned Ayling. Getting 6 points on the bench doesn't really matter too much. We expect him to concede to United, just not 5, and then him scoring a screamer. Billy Gilmore was on a bench, so he got us 2 points. Barnes had a quiet game. He had one shot of note, but for the most part, Leicester, once they got their goal, they kind of tightened things up and allowed Wolves to try to do things. Wolves could have definitely scored. Traore for sure. He was 1v1 with Schmeichel. Definitely should have scored, I think. And Wolves looked to potentially be good value. I thought Jimenez played decently well, and I think Wolves could potentially be problems for teams going forward. But I think Leicester mostly in control, and yeah, I think Barnes probably is going to be a bit trickier versus West Ham, who like to sit in a little bit. But it's this Norwich at home or Norwich away fixture that's going to be the key one for him. So we'll have to monitor him. We'll talk about Fernandes next. I mean, a hat trick. I mean, that's just absolutely insane. Salah getting a goal and 2 assists as well, and max bonus points. I mean, both of them are ridiculous. Like we said at the beginning of the season, Salah, Fernandes, Alexander-Arnold, Shaw, those 4 just don't leave a draft, in my opinion. Shaw, obviously, if you went without Shaw, you got away with it this time. But Shaw could potentially get some points, a significant haul next week. Yeah, Fernandes and Salah specifically, I just can't put my head around it. Why people or managers would just go without those 2. Obviously, it would have been better to captain Fernandes over Salah. You got a 3 extra points, but Salah was always going to be the captain versus Norwich, and he definitely did the business. So no real explanations needed there, to be honest. Side Benrahma and Antonio, we'll talk about both of them. I mean, Benrahma, goal assist, absolutely fantastic. Was picking up some great positions as well. And I also thought that he was unlucky to not get more points, potentially. There was times where Fornals and Bowen and Declan Rice all had situations where they could have played Benrahma, who was in acres of space, and they just didn't find him, basically, or they couldn't pick out the pass. And then Antonio could have potentially had even more points. He struck the post. He missed a penalty, but got the assist off it. He got the goal on the break. But yeah, Antonio was fantastic. So 25 points from those two. And then also Wilson getting a goal in that game as well. So we got 31 points from one game, which is pretty darn good. And then the Liverpool game was the other probably big one in terms of like multiple players doing well. But there's only 3 players in the whole team that didn't actually get anything. That was Sanchez, Shaw, and Barnes. I mean, Barnes got a clean sheet point, but you don't really count that. Everyone else in the team got a return at least, which is fantastic. But yeah, Wilson's goal off the bat, St. Maximin, I mean, absolutely just taking the mick, just making defenders look absolutely silly. And yeah, I thought Wilson played pretty good. Could have potentially maybe got a little bit extra points, but we'll take the goal. The goal was definitely fantastic. It was going to be him or the likes of Ivan Toney, and we're already up 4 points on that front there as well. Ings is probably the one that I'm going to be fortunate to come away with some points here. So you got a goal and an extra a point for bonus. Getting the penalty. He smashed it down the middle, which is fantastic. But for the most part, wasn't really able to do anything. Watford were actually quite good at home. We knew that they were good at home, as we mentioned in the Team Watch series in pre-season. But we didn't think they were going to be that good attacking-wise. And they only really conceded the 2 goals later on. McGinn's goal was fantastic. Ings' was a penalty. I mean, rightfully so, being a penalty. But yeah, definitely fortunate to have points from Ings for sure. But yeah, hopefully Ings can do a little bit better. He's got Newcastle at home, who conceded 4 goals to West Ham. We're not necessarily the most attacking team, so we'll see how that one goes. So again, we have some clashes of teams. So I have a lot of players that are playing against each other this week, in particular. Last week it was only just the 3. This week we have Benrahma and Antonio playing against Barnes, which is all just attack. So again, we just want to basically the same thing that happened between Newcastle and West Ham. And then we have Wilson versus Ings. So we just want to shoot out between those two. Hey Zaka, how's it going? Glad that you could join us. But yeah, overall, I think it's not a bad game week. 110 points on the first game week is pretty good. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our predictions here. So, these were our predictions that we put over on Twitter, as you can see on the screen. And I think I did okay in some of them. From what I remember. I think my differentials were actually all on point, if I remember correctly, except for the goalkeeper. I had a good one. Yeah, I think my game week was... I think 110 is not bad. I think it's not bad. But yeah, I mean, if you stuck with the template players, if you went with Ings, if you went with Antonio, if you went with Trent, you picked Tsimikas or Jota, you had Salah captain or Bruno captain, and you had both of them. For the most part, you did really well. I mean, like I said, if you had literally Salah captain, who's 34 points, and Bruno in your team, that's 54 points. If everyone else in your team, the other 9 players, got you 2 points, which is 18, you ended up with what? 72, 74 points, whatever the math, with that. So you would have done well regardless. I think if you came out of this with 80 points or more, I think you're doing okay. Obviously, the 100 scores are obviously fantastic, but if you would have been like 80, 85 points, I think you're doing all right as well. Went with everyone except Bruno. Fortunately, he was the one that scored the most points, which is a bit unfortunate. But it does leave a captaincy dilemma, which we'll talk about when we look at the fixtures as well. Because a lot of managers were looking at Salah, nailed on at home versus Burnley. Bruno scoring a hat-trick. And the last time they played Southampton, they scored 9. So, yeah. Could be a bit of damage there. So, yeah. Let's take a look at our predictions here. So, I went with 1-1. I was going to be conservative with Brentford and Arsenal. It ended up being 2-0. Brentford won. And I think it has to do with the home fans. I think the home fans, if you look at all the games this weekend, every team, like even the smaller teams that were at home won. Like Watford beating Aston Villa was probably a shock. Spurs beating City was probably a shock. Brentford beating Arsenal was probably a shock. And then obviously Newcastle were winning at 2 different stages at one point, so they could have easily won the game. Potentially a dodgy penalty decision. So, again, we'll have to see if the refereeing in that sort of incident improves. I think that, and as well as the call at Burnley, could have potentially been the other way. It's definitely the one at Burnley with Tarkowski. 82 not too shabby. Yeah, 82 is fine. I think 82 is a perfectly good score. So yeah, we didn't get the we need a different color marker. Custom yellow. There we go. That's a little better. So yeah, we didn't get that one right. And if you are keeping track with me along the season, and we do these predictions week in, week out, how we do it basically is, if you get the exact score right, you get 3 points. If you get the result right, you get 1 point. And if you don't get it right, you get 0. So I got the result right for Man United, but I didn't get the score right because they won 5-1 instead of 2-1. I gave Leeds a little bit too much credit. United thought otherwise. So I get just the 1 point there. This thing needs to be a different round tip. That's better. Burnley versus Brighton. I said it was going to be 0-0. It was actually a very entertaining game, to be honest, which I didn't expect. So, yeah, the boring game was actually probably Leicester-Wolves, to be honest. Apart from a couple chances, there wasn't really much in it. But yeah, Brighton won 2-1, so they got picked up 3 points there, so nothing there. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace, I predicted 3-0. Got that one bang on, so we get the 3 points for that. Everton versus Southampton, I predicted 1-1. Everton had other ideas, and they won the game 3-1, so we got that one wrong. Leicester, I predicted 3-1 over Wolves, and they won 1-0. So it was a lot lower scoring than I thought it was going to be. I thought, Wolves high line, Leicester getting in behind. Potentially could have happened. So yeah, we only got just the 1 point because we got the result right. Watford decided to let Villa have 2 goals, but thought that they would score 3 of their own, so got that one completely wrong as well. However, we did get the Norwich and Liverpool game exactly right. We got the 3 points there. We got the exact score of 3-0. So we got 2 exact scores, which is very, very good. Newcastle, I was going to say Norwich again. Newcastle versus West Ham. I predicted 2-1 West Ham. They end up winning by double both of their score lines and won 4-2. So we still get the 1 point there. And then I did predict the right score line just for the wrong team between Man City and Spurs. So yeah, we didn't get any points there. So how many is that? That's 1, 4, 5, 6, 9 points in total. Not too bad. Typically, we want to get 5 right and 1 exact score if we can. But I think 9 points isn't bad at all. Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 things right and 2 exact scores, which is good. So normally that would, I think, amount to 7 points. But yeah, definitely a 50-50. But we got 2 exact scores, which would have been good. Clean sheet was Liverpool. Yep, we got that one right. Bachmann, I believe he got some saves, but all things he didn't get any saves, actually. He just conceded 2 goals. I thought he made some saves. Maybe I just remember Martinez doing that. So Bachmann, unfortunately, comes away with not much. Simicast got himself a clean sheet. Ben Rama definitely did well, as did Wilson. So everyone but Bachmann basically did well. So, 9 points, not too bad. 4 out of 5 on the old differential. So pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah, let's talk about some of the games here. So the Leeds and Man United game was, I mean, obviously Varane was revealed at the beginning of the game, which obviously is a big boost if you didn't already have a boost with the home crowd already. Leeds, for the most part, just could not get near any of the United players realistically. And it was pretty much control from minute 1 to minute 90. They had the one goal where it kind of, was a blip in the system. It was a pretty fantastic goal, to be honest. Probably the best of the bunch, potentially, by Ayling. But all things considered, United pretty much controlled the game. As for Chelsea and Liverpool, they did pretty much the same. Leicester to a lesser extent, but, apart from the scare from Traore, they mostly had it in check. West Ham and Newcastle was just a straight shootout, which is exactly what I wanted from a FPL point of view. Spurs did exactly what Spurs do versus City when they come to White Hart Lane, which is just hit them on the break with Son, and that's exactly what they did. And we talked about that in our Tactics Talk video over on YouTube. So if you haven't seen that, we posted that early today. So go check that out as well. We go into depth on the tactics side of that. And then the start of the whole game week was Brentford versus Arsenal. I mean, Brentford won 2-0, and Tony wasn't involved in any of the goals, but Arsenal were just so dreadful. They were so bad. It was just, they literally have no idea what they're doing, to be honest. They have no clue at all what they're doing. And the Man City Spurs game was very similar to how both, so Spurs and Brentford played very similarly, and how Arsenal, up against Arsenal and Man City, except Man City just have better players than Arsenal, so they looked a bit more threatening. So, which is, I mean, Pep and Arteta definitely, they were coaches at the same time for Man City, so maybe it's a little bit of coincidence there. Do you think I should do a -4 Werner to Lukaku in for tearing that horrible Arsenal team apart? Hey, if you want to do that, be my guest, to be honest. But I think Lukaku is going to be a wait and see. He should be obviously ready for this game coming up, but he could just easily be on the bench too. Like, Tuchel is, he does rotate players. He will change things up. But he doesn't necessarily just throw players straight back in immediately as well. At least we don't have a large enough, sample size for that. But if you want to go for that, if you want to take hits to really, put players in immediately, then sure, you can go for it. But for me, it wouldn't be for me, to be honest. I would say it'd be a wait and see. I mean, because if you look at Chelsea's next few fixtures, I mean, Arsenal is bad, but it also is away to Arsenal. So home fans might help them out there. Then you're away to Liverpool after that too. So that could easily be, just a clash of styles and just a 0-0. Then you're at home to Aston Villa. So that one's not bad. Then away to Spurs could be difficult. Home to Man City could be difficult. And then it's when Chelsea's fixtures really get good in 7. So I think you could potentially hold off on Lukaku, to be honest. I'm going to hear the press conference first. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, to be honest. Because I don't think Lukaku can go up or down in price anyway. Because he just came into the game. So there's like a fixed amount of time that he has to stay at his price. It's like when players get red flagged and they come back they come back from injury, they have to stay at a fixed price. And play like a game week or something before they can actually change in price, whether it be up or down. So yeah, let's actually move over to the fixtures here. So let's put up the old notepad. So we got the notepad up, and we're going to be predicting some of the games. So let's take a look at them. So, I mean, if Werner gets benched, Lukaku only needs 1 goal for the hit to be worth it. True. That is true. But Werner could also easily start and get an assist or something. Very easy to do. I mean, Werner's becoming more of a creator rather than a goal scorer, if anything, based on his play from last season. So, We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Liverpool versus Burnley. Now, as we know, the FPL suspicion that comes with the early kickoff is that you should never captain in the early kickoff. However, it is Mo Salah in the early kickoff, and he is at home versus Burnley. Now, Salah, I believe, has only scored once against his time since he's been at Liverpool versus Burnley. I think he's only scored once, if I remember correctly. And that's over 7 or 8 games, something like that. One of them, a couple of them were like sub appearances, or he wasn't in the squad. But the others, he did play. 90 minutes against Palace, surely Havertz will play. Yeah, probably Havertz will play. We'll see, though. I mean, Tuchel likes Werner, though. He definitely likes Werner, for sure. Obviously, the German connection. Now, I'm going to probably say that Liverpool wins this game. Do I see Burnley potentially scoring something? I mean, if they're allowed to do exactly what they did to Mope, like, I don't know, Milner or something like that, then there could be a fight breaking out. But I don't see it happening. I see Liverpool will be keeping a clean sheet in this one. Burnley, apart from those 2 set plays, as long as Liverpool can just prevent Burnley from getting those. And they have Van Dijk and Matip back there, 2 giants themselves. So I think they should be fine. I'm going to go with a conservative 2-0. I think Liverpool will hold most of the ball. They'll slowly pick them apart. Burnley will try to get a little bit overzealous potentially and get burnt on the break, as they typically do when they are away from home. Usually, apart from last season, which was a bit of an anomaly, Burnley's a lot more solid at home and seems to, I wouldn't say fall apart, but they kind of just aren't as organized, I guess, if you want to call it that. They just don't seem to be like the structured Burnley when they're at home. It's just really, really weird. Pope won't play either. Pope should play, I think. He's not injured, I don't think. No, Pope should play. I would think, unless he's injured. I don't know if he's injured. I don't think he is. I don't think he's injured, but yeah, Pope should play. I mean, if Pope does play, I don't think it really matters too much, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going with the 2-0 win for Liverpool. Our number one reflects on injury recovery and being ready for the 21-22 season. Yeah, well, he played in Gameweek 1. Maybe they're talking about the injury that he had, where he couldn't go to the Euros. Maybe that's what they're talking about. That's my only guess, but I think he was fine in Gameweek 1, from what I can tell. He's not flagged. But whether it's Pope or not, I think Liverpool should do fine. Now, Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Excuse me. Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Now, Aston Villa were not creating very much versus Watford, who is very good defensively. They obviously conceded a penalty and late on, and they conceded the kind of very good goal from McGinn from Leon Bailey. But Newcastle were definitely open at the back, and they had the fans there in their game. So I think Villa could be in for a rout in this one. Do I see Newcastle potentially getting one? Probably. But I think Aston Villa should have this game quite handily. Watkins, I believe, is going to be back for this one, but we'll have to see in the press conferences. But I think Bailey could start from the beginning, and he looked fantastic. He's been put on the watch list as well. And we'll actually run through the players on my watch list at the moment. A tool that I didn't even know was in FPL for the longest time, but I think it's very good to be using it. Don't know, to be fair. I just saw that tweet and assumed he was injured. No, they're probably just talking about the injury he suffered, which didn't allow him to go to the Euros, probably. That's probably what they're talking about. Yeah, 3-1 I think is makes the most sense. Oh, excuse me, the yawns are coming now. I was really tired at work today. Come mid-afternoon. Definitely needed the good old siesta, but obviously can't sleep on the job. Crystal Palace versus Brentford. Now, this one I think Tony could do well in, but they are away from home. Palace at home, first game with the fans back. Will they get some rejuvenation from it? Potentially. I think it could be quite even, to be honest, because I think Palace at home will be more likely to push forward. I think Brentford on set pieces, attacking-wise, are good. But not many can deal with Christian Benteke. And I think maybe that could be the exploit that Crystal Palace used to potentially get something. I think both teams are going to go at it. And I think it's just going to result in some kind of draw. I want to say it's going to be 2-2. So that's probably what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with 2-2. I think both teams are still liable defensively. I just think Arsenal were just so bad attacking-wise that Brentford really didn't have to defend well. But I think Crystal Palace could be exploited, and I think Brentford could be exploited. But I think that ultimately it'll end in a draw, a scoring draw of some kind. But I've gone with 2-2. And Zaka thinks Brentford are going to win 2-0 over Palace. I think Palace, they played against a really good Chelsea team. I mean, they played against a really good Chelsea team. Leeds versus Everton. Now, Leeds again at home at Ellen Road. First time, fans, full stadium. Definitely think Everton are going to be on the back foot here. I think Leeds could potentially keep a clean sheet in this one. I think Everton were very good attacking-wise, but they were also only very good versus Southampton, who basically sold most of their players already, and James Ward-Prowse is just the last one on a long list. So, yeah, I think that Leeds could do well here. I think their attack is definitely going to cause problems for Everton's defense if they're going to be passing it around the back like that. So, I think Everton probably nick one overall, but I think Leeds probably win it, whether it be 2 or 3-1. I'm going to go with 2-1, just like you, Zaka, as well. Man City versus Norwich. I mean, Norwich, they're just going to get put to the sword here, surely. I think Norwich are going to be open. Liverpool showed that even if Norwich defend back, they can still get burnt on the counter. I'm going to go exact same score as what Liverpool got versus Norwich, and I'm just going to go a comfortable 3-0 win. Zaka's going 4-0. Could easily be that. Oh, excuse me. Definitely going to have an early night tonight. And then the last game on Saturday is Brighton versus Watford. Now, this one I'm kind of torn in two minds about because I thought Watford were very good attacking-wise and Brighton were very terrible on set pieces. But I don't think Watford have any players really that are like a Vestergaard or like a Virgil van Dijk or like a Harry Maguire. Like someone who's going to really cause problems. And I think that Watford away from home were definitely weaker in the championship. So I think Brighton could potentially nick this one. I think Watford, we're going off the adrenaline of the crowd. I think Brighton will too. But I think it's going to be pretty straightforward for Brighton. I'm actually going to go with just a 1-0. I think Brighton could get a goal of some kind because Watford tend to be a little bit weaker defensively away from home based on the stats from the championship. And I think Brighton could definitely score. Yeah. Because whether it be like a set piece with the likes of Dunk or something like that. Or maybe they get Watford, they catch them out in midfield or hit them on the break or something like that. Zaka's going with a 1-1 as well. Southampton versus Man United. I mean, this should be 3 points for Man United. Southampton, they showed that if you give them a chance, they can score with their new signing Armstrong. I think United should be good value in this game. And Southampton look pretty vulnerable with the Saints having their fans back. Could matter a little bit. But I think United should do quite well versus their team. Obviously, the no Vestergaard means they're a lot weaker on set pieces. This could also be Rafael Varane's debut as well. And if it is, I think some set pieces could potentially be going in the back of Southampton's net, as they're likely to play McCarthy, who's probably not as comfortable on set pieces as the likes of Fraser Forster, who's a much bigger frame. So I think United should be good value in this one. I expect a clean sheet too. I don't see any firepower unless United make a horrendous mistake. Yeah, I'm going to go with Uzak as well. I think 3-0. I was going to say 2-0, but I thought, Jadon Sancho probably be in the team too, which could just create another goal out of nothing as well. Wolves versus Spurs. Now, this is very interesting because when top 6 teams, or big 6 teams, or whatever you want to call them, greedy 6 teams, go to Molineux, it is always a struggle. Molineux is a very difficult place to go. The sea of Wolves' colors will be prevalent. But I think Wolves' high line can be exposed by Spurs. I think Wolves can potentially create something, although they do have a difficult time of breaking down low blocks. But I think they always tend to score one late on. Now, whether that's before Spurs score 1 or 2, we don't know. But I think Raul Jimenez could potentially get one in this game and cause like the likes of Dyer and Davinson Sanchez problems. Nobody's catching Traore when he has the ball. Don't care who your fullbacks are. Yeah, I think Wolves probably get one, but I think Spurs probably just win it. Zach is going with the 1-1. I'm going to go with a 2-1, personally. I think Spurs will probably get a couple early, and then maybe Wolves get one later on, make it interesting, but ultimately will lose the game. Arsenal at home versus Chelsea. This is only going one way. I think Chelsea are going to win this one. Don't care if it's at the Emirates or not. Chelsea are a far superior team than Arsenal. I think it's just going to be a comfortable, I call this the Tuchel scoreline of 2-0. I think it's going to be 2-0, straightforward. Probably Lukaku's going to score one of the goals. And then maybe Chilwell at the back post or something from poor defending. From a deeper cross from Reece James or something will go in. Who knows? But I think it's the Tuchel scoreline, just a simple away from home victory. No questions, no real concerns. But yeah, the symmetry in your guys is 1-1, 0-3, 1-1, 0-3, 1. Yeah. So what are you doing? So West Ham Leicester, you're doing 1-1 then. West Ham Leicester, you're doing 1-1 then. I don't think it's going to be 1-1 though. I don't think it's going to be 1-1. I think Leicester. Both teams could definitely score goals. Both teams could definitely score goals. I'm trying to think. Obviously, FPL-wise, I'd want it to be like a 3-3 or something crazy like that. But I think Leicester probably just have enough to beat West Ham. The defense is an issue, I would say. But since Leicester are away from home, the onus is probably going to be on West Ham to do most of the creative actions. And I think Leicester will just sit off, which they're more than comfortable with doing. And they'll probably hit them on the break. The likes of Dawson and Ogbonna and Diop or whoever's playing at the back aren't really the quickest players. And I think that's where Barnes or Vardy or whoever can get in. I still think West Ham are still good for a goal. But I'm going to go with Leicester overall there as well. Before we go into the differential picks, captaincy-wise, I think you're looking at 3 fixtures here, mainly. You're looking at a Liverpool player, you're looking at a Man United player, you're looking at a Man City player. Now, if you brought in or had from the start, like Riyad Mahrez or Ferran Torres or somebody of that ilk, I don't think you captain them just because of the sheer rotation risk. Having them in your team is probably more than enough of a differential at the moment. If you had Kevin De Bruyne, he's definitely a captaincy option there as well. Just because I think he's going to play almost certainly, assuming he's fully fit. Another week of training, he came on for 15 minutes or so and looks great. I think probably the only one that's probably maybe like a captaincy option would be Jack Grealish. But again, I think having him in your team is probably better than just captaining them. Now, the real captaincy shout comes down between Southampton versus United and Liverpool versus Burnley. And in my opinion, I think in this sort of situation, whether it's the first fixture of the week or the last fixture of the week, I don't think it really care too much, to be honest. It's a home fixture for Liverpool with their fans all back at Anfield. You put the armband on Mo Salah, in my opinion. I just think that's how it goes. Assuming Mo Salah's fit, assuming Bruno Fernandes is fit versus Southampton and St. Mary's. Mo Salah, you go with the home fixture. Burnley conceded 2 to Brighton, the team that couldn't score goals last season. Southampton conceded 3 to Everton, but they also were away from home. Burnley was at home and they conceded 2. So I think that Liverpool should definitely be good value. It is the first fixture of the game week. It is the early kickoff. It's Mo Salah at home with the fans back. I think it's just crazy. And the thing is, if Mo Salah blanks, everyone's probably blanking anyway because they're all going Salah most likely. If you captain Salah and he blanks, your whole weekend's ruined. I mean, not necessarily. If Salah blanks, Salah blanks. Okay. Everyone's probably captaining him anyway. Everyone sees that he got 17 points. He's got a home fixture versus Burnley. And that's the thing. We know how good home fans are for a team. I thought Liverpool played in like third gear maybe versus Norwich. Now imagine what they have if they have the crowd at Anfield. Virgil van Dijk's back fully fit. You know, I mean, they could do some damage here. Again, Southampton may have been playing poorly because they didn't have the fans there. Who knows? I think home fans have a much, 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 much bigger impact than we think. So that's why when it comes to, like, I know Wolves could easily get burnt. So like in Gameweek 3 as an example, Wolves versus Man United, that could be a good fixture, right? Could be a good fixture for Man United. But I think the away fans is a potential problem. And United always struggle when they go to Molineux, ever since they've just been in the Premier League. Which is why I'd be considering potentially even shifting Salah out for a couple of game weeks to bring in Son versus Watford at home. Because Salah has Chelsea and then Leeds away. So he has Chelsea at home, Leeds away. And Chelsea are, you know, maybe Salah gets a goal in that. But I think Son gets a goal versus Watford. And then Spurs play Crystal Palace. And then Liverpool, play Leeds away. So 2, I would say, difficult fixtures for Salah. 2 very easy fixtures for Spurs. So I can even see myself doing what they call the hokey cokey, which basically Salah out in Game Week 3, bring him back in Game Week 5. So we'll see. Yeah, I think the captaincy, Mo Salah, this fixture, it's either him or Bruno. Mine armband's on Salah. I don't think there's any real thinking behind. I'm going to go pretty simple. First home game of the season. Mo Salah at home. He usually scores. Pretty straightforward. But yeah. Let's go with the clean sheets and differential. So the first clean sheet we picked was Liverpool. This time we're going with Brighton. I think Brighton will get a clean sheet. And I did go for, what did I go for? A 1-0 win over Watford. I just think Watford away from home struggled quite a bit. They got most of their points at home. And I think Brighton could be good value. Obviously, I can't pick Liverpool 2 clean sheets. Of course, I'd love to pick Liverpool back-to-back game weeks, but I'm going with something where it's a little bit trickier. I mean, Watford just scored 3, so you think, oh, well, why would you pick a clean sheet for Brighton? But I think Brighton versus Watford, I think that's fine. For goal this week, I'm going with Meslier, because I think even if he, I put Leeds down for 2-1, but if he makes a few good saves and bails them out like he did before, Everton are going to be defensive at Ellen Road. They're going to be defensive. Raya is also a good shout, but I think I don't know if he's actually over 5% now. No, he's actually lower than Meslier, so yeah, that is a good shout. But I've gone with Meslier. I just think just because he's going to make some saves. If he does pull off some miraculous saves, they could shut out Everton. And that could be a start of a very good run for Leeds. So they have Liverpool in what game week? So they have Burnley away, which could be a clean sheet or a save fest for Meslier. If you were to bring him in. Then they have Liverpool, so he might get some saves there. They might just get burnt. But then he has a real good run. Newcastle, West Ham, Watford, Southampton, so he's looking pretty good after that. And Leeds have a really good long run there as well. Then in defense, I've gone with Varane. Now, actually, I gotta change the notepad here. So let me. That's not what I wanted to do. I gotta make this a little bit smaller. Bear with me while we fix the technical fraudulence. There we go. Now we have the percentages on the side as well. Sorry, I don't have to. Defense, who's Trevo? I don't know who Trevo is. Probably someone from Chelsea. Oh, Chalobah. Okay, yeah. I figured it was Chalobah or somebody from Chelsea. Yeah, he did play pretty good. I don't even know how much he is. Is he 4.5? He is 4.5. He got 14 points. That's crazy. Him and Alonso did well. Pereira did well as well. Clean sheet, 3 bonus assist. Not bad. But yeah, I'm just going with Varane just because he's a new signing, and United double up, I think, for the next 3 fixtures could be quite good. Varane is also very good from set pieces as well. Him and Ramos at their time at Real Madrid were very, very lethal from set pieces. And he just creates another problem for opposing teams when they have to deal with the likes of Maguire and Varane. Whereas before they just had to kind of block off Maguire. In midfield, I've gone with Steven Bergwijn from Spurs, 0.5% owned. I believe he's only like 6.5 million in the game, or 6 million, something like that. He's very, very cheap. He's 6 million, extremely cheap. So yeah, I think he could be good value. The next 3 fixtures for Spurs are fantastic. Wolves away, Watford at home, Crystal Palace away. I think they're very, very good. So if you're looking for a little midfield punt at 6 million mark, I would go with him because he had a big chance. He squandered it, and he could potentially have had more. Yeah, I think he could get better and better and better. Zach is going with Kanyos. That is also a good shout as well. I think he's 5'5". But he's also at right wing back as well, so it's a bit difficult. But Mbeumo is probably a better shot. I like Mbeumo. And then my forward is Benteke, someone who played 30 minutes off the bench. He was, according to Vieira, he needed a little bit more training time before he could start, and I think this week is the best time to start him. And test that Brentford, resolve in the back line on set plays. And I think Benteke works really well with Zaha. So if they want to... This game is super important for Palace when you look at it. Because the 3 games after that, you got West Ham away, which is going to be difficult. Then you have Spurs, which is difficult. Then you have Liverpool, which is difficult. So if you lose the Brentford game, you could be looking at the first 5 games, no points, which is not something you want to do. And Zach is going with Gabriel Jesus from Man City. I don't like that personally because I think it's not necessarily guaranteed he's going to start, but who knows? Yeah, these are my clean sheet and differential picks. Let me know what you think. Have I seen Lukaku's FPL picture? No, I have not. Let's go look at what it looks like. It's just him holding up a shirt. Yeah, sounds about right. I'm just going to hide that so we can get it out of the way. It's just, there's a lot like that, where it's just somebody holding up a shirt, or it's somebody, like, in the game. Like, Begovic's one is, like, kind of similar, but he's not really holding up a shirt. It's just him in a goalkeeper kit, like, somewhere. Who knows? But yeah, that picture's pretty great. But like some of the players, they have their proper picture. So like Gilmore's got his proper picture now. Who else? Ings has his proper picture, although the rest of Villa doesn't. Benrahma doesn't. Ayling and all of Leeds do as well. So yeah. Yeah, definitely quite funny. But yeah, so this is the team as we shape up going into this week. So I don't have to change anything really. So this is what was my team, how it lined up last week. The only difference I made was that I've put Ayling ahead of Gilmore, really, because I don't think Gilmore's going to get anything at Man City away. I think Ayling would be probably more likely to have a clean sheet versus Everton than Gilmore would be of an attacking return versus Man City. So that's what I've gone with. And then I put Veltman at first sub because I think he should be back, assuming that he doesn't also test positive himself. But yeah, Sanchez in goal, home to Watford, should be fine. Double Liverpool defense. I thought Tsimikas was great. Trent Alexander-Arnold also at home to Burnley as well. Sean Fernandez away to Southampton. Should be some returns there, hopefully. Salah with the captain's armband at home to Burnley. And then we have the middle of my team mostly playing against each other. So Benrahma, Antonio, and Barnes all playing against each other. But if we can get a situation where it's like a 2-2, maybe I come out away with some returns there. And then Ings play against Newcastle, which is Callum Wilson. So yeah, definitely have to hope for some higher scoring games between Leicester and West Ham, as well as Newcastle and Aston Villa. But if it's anything to go by, West Ham conceded 2 to Newcastle, so Leicester could probably score more. And Aston Villa conceded 3 to Watford, so I think Newcastle should be able to score at least 1 or 2. So yeah, that's how I'm pretty much gonna line up. To be honest, don't see me changing anything. Veltman's definitely gonna be first sub, like I said. Watford at home's a better fixture just over Ayling. So Gilmore is third sub. And hopefully he should be back. So yeah, it's just lack of match fitness, like they said here, as well. If we look at the transfer page, so I'm actually just going to take a quick peek at the potential price rises and falls for this evening. It looks like Tsimikas could be going up in price tonight. As well as Antonio is close, and then everyone else is kind of somewhat far off for at least today. Going down in price potentially is Nicola Pepe, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Manuel Lanzini. Those are just estimations. They are not final. So, yeah. I think Tsimikas, if he goes up by, gets another clean sheet, or maybe gets a return or something like that, maybe goes up to 4.2. Because lower owned players shoot up in percentage really quickly, and Tsimikas is he was like 12 or something to start the week before the start of game week 1. Now he's going up to double that and could go up even more because of how cheap he actually is. So yeah, am I gonna make any changes? No, I don't think I need to. Gonna roll the transfer and go into next week with 3. And like I said, if you haven't seen it when I discussed it previously, basically my strategy is to get rid of Salah in game week 3, bring in Son, so that Son can get the 2 fixtures. Oh, Spurs have the new jerseys. Cool. So they can have the fixtures versus Watford at home and Crystal Palace away, and I could bring him in to captain him versus Watford at home, because I think Fernandez away to Wolves could be tricky. And I think the other captaincy option would be Salah himself, which would be Chelsea at home, which is going to be difficult. So I would rather bring in Son and just let him go nuts. Then in game week 4, I would get rid of one of my strikers, most likely Danny Ings, and look to potentially bring in Raul Jimenez, who has a fantastic set of fixtures from game week 4 all the way up until game week 14, really. So we'll bring him in for the likes of Danny Ings as an example, whose fixtures are only good for the first 3. And then we would look to bring Salah back in, because Son's fixtures are not great. He'll be away in the North London derby. He'll also play Chelsea at home. Maybe we bring him back on the wild card for game weeks 7 and 8 because he has 2 good fixtures there as well. And if he can get through the West Ham game, then maybe we just keep him for this run here as well. So we would get rid of Son again, bring Salah back in. And then also we could potentially look at either how Barnes or Benrahma are doing. Barnes would have just come off playing Man City. Benrahma would be playing Man United. So maybe it'd be a situation where we get rid of Benrahma and using our second transfer and going to Rafinha, who has a good start to his good fixtures from game week 5 onwards. And if we go to wildcard in game week 7, we would maintain Rafinha in our fantasy teams as well. So I think he could do quite well there as well. And then in game week 6, there's not really anything planned there, but we would need to use that transfer if we were to basically not burn it if we wanted to wildcard it in game week 7. So we will have to see on that front as well. Okay. Just trying to do something 1 second. Right. Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. I guess in game week 6, like we said, Barnes would play Crystal Palace away, so it'd be or game week 6 Barnes plays Burnley at home, but we could make a change to whereas I wouldn't even know what to do. Wilson plays Wolves away. Maybe a change there. Who does Antonio play? Antonio plays Brentford at home. So definitely not getting rid of him. But maybe we go for Wilson and change him out for Calvert-Lewin if Calvert-Lewin is still the same price around that time. Because Calvert-Lewin would be playing West Ham at home, which is still difficult. But yeah, that's still further down the line. Maybe someone will emerge. There. Maybe a Watford striker, home to Newcastle, potentially. Or even Bamford we could go for. Maybe go for the double up. Everton playing Norwich. What am I talking about? Yeah, Everton playing Norwich in Game Week 6. So yeah, maybe Calvert-Lewin at home to Norwich. Assuming his price is still that same value. So yeah, we'll move that back, and we'll go back to the old team here. But yeah, this is how we line up. Sanchez in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Tsimikas, Shaw, Salah captain. Don't think that's gonna move off him. Fernandez vice captain, Benrahma, Barnes, Wilson, Antonio, and Ings. We're running out the same team, just slightly different bench order with Ayling being second sub versus Gilmore's third sub, and then we'll look to potentially do some stuff with 2 free transfers, maybe using only 1, like I said, for the Son transfer going into game week 3. So yeah, let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout for a second here. So if you haven't done so already, we still have the offer on. If you use the link, I'm going to put it in the chat now as well. It's also in the About section on Twitch. It's also in our description as well over on YouTube. If you're watching this over on YouTube, it's 20% off your Fantasy Football Scout membership, access to Opta stats, all kinds of comparison tools as well. You can create your own custom tables. It's fantastic. So make sure to use the code bit.ly/FFSPilotFlame. So use the About section on Twitch or check us over in the description for any YouTube video, or even if you wanted to, you can go over on Twitter. I've also pinned it over on my profile over there as well, so make sure to check that out. 20% off. It's only up until Sunday. They've actually extended it, so make sure to get your membership as soon as possible, because it'll help elevate your FPL game. But let's go over to the big screen. So that is going to do it for the Game Week 1 preview, or Game Week 2 preview. Sorry, we did Game Week 1 already. Bruno's excited. He's like, nothing really going on. Only scored a hat-trick. It's fine. And he's going to play Southampton, which they scored 9 against. Although I think Bruno only scored once in that game, which is interesting. But yeah. It's going to be Salah captain for me, most likely. We're going to have the captaincy video out tomorrow. We're going to talk about all the different possibilities there as well. So make sure to check that out. We got the wildcard drafts, because there may be people panicking. I need to get Bruno in, but I can't do it unless I take a -20. So we're going to be doing some wildcard drafts as well. We're going to see a Lukaku wildcard draft. We're also going to be looking at like a 3 premium midfielder. So a Salah, Bruno, De Bruyne draft as well, and then some potential tinkering as to what you could also do as well. On Thursday, we're going to have buy, hold, sell, so that's going to be fun as well. That's going to be a returning series that we had from last season, where I pick a player to buy, a player to hang on to if you already have them, and a player to sell and get rid of if you don't want to see them price drop or see that they don't show up in the next week's team sheets. And then lastly, we'll have the lineup preview, where I'll discuss my team, how we did as per normal, in a little bit more detail, what I'm feeling about the players, some potential future transfers in a more visual aspect, and then lastly, the deadline stream. So make sure to check us out for all of those. We usually do a little spiel over on Twitter or in our community section on YouTube to show you all of that, like what's coming up in the week. And then probably a tactics talk on the Sunday. I'm just taking a look quickly at what game it would be. It would probably be, if I had to choose, would probably be Arsenal and Chelsea if we do a tactics talk, if the game is of any interest. But yeah, that's going to do it. Follow us on all the socials, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And yeah, until the next one, take care.